Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Jim Starrett. I head up Bottomline's Enterprise Program Management team. And as the head of the Enterprise Program Management team, I have responsibility for managing our Agile transformation throughout the company and also our global development partnerships, of which GlobalLogic is a very important part. Taking a look at today's agenda for the conference, I see that I'm the only non-technical talk that you're going to have. So I guess first I should say thank you for inviting me to your party. I'm glad to be here. I hope, even though it's not technical, that the information I have to share will be of interest to a number of you. Before I get started, just by show of hands, have any of you ever heard of Bottomline before? Any familiarity at all with Bottomline Technologies? A few? Okay, well that's good. I wasn't sure there'd be any. One more question for you all. How many of you now today have had experience having worked in an Agile organization? Okay, that's more than half, so I think that's pretty good. Just curious, of those of you who have worked in an Agile organization, how many would you say has been really good Agile in that organization? Okay, that's maybe half of the half. And a couple of uncertain ones. Almost, no. I think so. No, not really. So there's that question, and that happens. So what I'm going to do today is share a little bit about who Bottomline is. So for those of you who may not have been familiar with it, you will be, I hope, after my talk. For those of you who did have some familiarity with it, I hope that you'll learn a little bit more. So with that, let me jump in. So what kind of company is Bottomline Technologies? We're an innovator in business payment automation technology whose solutions are used by thousands of companies globally. We do a lot with the multiple solutions that we have. We're not a company with one simple product or even product set. We have many solutions that we provide. And we're on a journey. We're on a journey both in terms of our global development partnership with GlobalLogic, as well as in how do we become a stronger Agile organization. So as an overview, our solutions help businesses to pay and get paid. We have ways in which we help banks engage and innovate with their customers in their markets. We help security professionals predict as well as protect those for whom they serve. And also IT professionals like yourselves to connect and manage on the work that we do. We have a C1 philosophy, a customer-first philosophy at the company. And it says simply, we surprise and delight customers with product excellence and innovation, supported by world-class service and care. Those are really some important words for us. They're not just something that we put up in a poster in the hall. They're something that when you talk to people on different teams in different parts of the organization, they firmly believe. I'm going to share with you a couple of the really important parts of this C1 program. But before I do, some of the solutions real quickly. PayModeX, our payment network, our proprietary payment network. It is the way we like to say businesses pay and get paid. Payments and cash management, really more effective cash management solutions with partners like the Visa payment network. Financial messaging, there's a lot of data that goes with financial transactions. How we secure that data, how we transmit that data, how we protect that data. We have financial messaging solutions that help with that. Digital banking 3.0. Digital banking is really the future of banking. We have a customer engagement platform that really helps our customers with analytics and other advanced tool sets. Financial document automation. It's really a processing platform that helps with replacing paper invoices. Really very environmentally friendly and really helping with also automating and searching and generating application output. And then finally, cyber fraud and risk management. So we're really helping with meeting regulatory compliance needs. You can't help but turn on the news today and hear about a company or a data breach or some other problem that companies have faced. So our cyber fraud products really do help to proactively and responsively manage and alert when there are both internal and external threats. So like I said, there's more solutions than these. I wanted to highlight a few. We really have a wide variety that is very exciting depending upon what area or what business you might have an interest in working in. I mentioned C1. Our culture really does drive us and who we are. Innovate, communicate, win, and grow. It's a really important part of how we think. We really want to look at innovation as breathing. We innovate every day. We innovate every sprint and every release. Work with and for each other. Honestly, this is a personal favorite of mine. I've been with Bottomline now for almost 9 years, and in that period of time, I cannot even recall a single occurrence of asking someone for assistance and not having that person stop what they're doing and figure out how to help me do it. On the rare cases when they couldn't stop immediately because they were in the middle of something very important, they simply said, my colleague can help you, or can I get right back to you, gave me a time, and then followed up. That willingness, beyond willingness, that eagerness to help you figure out what your problem is, even if it's not their problem, or help you solve your question, makes a difference in how we work together as a team and how we can innovate and really progress together as an organization. Do the right thing. That's an important aspect of this. We have to be careful no matter who we're working with, no matter how we're doing it, especially when we're talking about financial matters, to do the right thing. And beyond even just that aspect, think about it from a process perspective. I have worked with and managed global development operations for many companies for the last, we'll say 20 years, maybe a little bit more. And I can tell you one of the challenges that you might have is people just doing what they think you want them to do without asking why, without suggesting maybe a better opportunity or a better way to go about it. Doing the right thing means recognizing first what the right thing is, and then second, being able to offer some ideas and advice on how to go about it. But with that has to come an openness to have that dialogue and to have that discussion. And that's where you get back to work with and for each other. Create and grow sustained business value. We hold the customer first. I mentioned our customer first philosophy, and that's certainly true. But if we don't create and grow sustained business value, we don't have a company that's able to do that. So that's a very important part of our C1 philosophy as well. And be a company of which all can be proud. Are we as an organization doing the things in the communities that we serve and in the communities that we're a part of that make the people who work with and for us proud to be associated with us? And so we hope that we do that every day. And then finally, delight customers, what I have up here in the top of this graphic. At the end of the day, we are a product company, but we're a product company that serves our customers. And one of the things that I really love to say that Agile enables us to do is to transform us from being a service organization where we simply provide whatever the customer asks to being a business partner where we can help that customer to be more proactive, to be more effective in their market so that they can excel and succeed. And if we can do that regularly, and if we can help them to innovate such that they can delight their customers, that's a partnership. It's no longer a service provider. And if we can maintain an effective partnership with them, why would they ever want to leave us? They're going to be asking us for more. And we've seen that growth. And we've shared that growth with GlobalLogic in a major growth initiative that we have going on right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about the partnership and where we are, but that's something of the company. So I hope that gives a little bit more context to those of you who might have heard a little bit about Bottomline, but also those of you who may not have known anything at all about Bottomline. I love this quote. I actually use it with my team when we deliver Agile training throughout the organization to both Bottomline employees as well as to GlobalLogic team members. And this quote says, "Excellence is never an accident. It's the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, skillful execution, and the vision to see obstacles as opportunities." We're going to have many obstacles. We're going to have many challenges as we try to innovate. If it were easy, everybody would do it. I don't know about most of you or all of you, but I don't like to do things that are easy and repetitive. I get bored very easily. So unless I've got something that challenges me, unless I've got something that I really have to think about, and unless I have an opportunity to work with colleagues who think like me to overcome those challenges, I'm not going to be very interested in staying in that place for a very long period of time. The C1 program has very strong alignment with Agile principles and Scrum practices, as I've put up here. And the thing that I like about it is not only does it deliver for our customers, but it provides an environment for employees and partners that we really want to be a part of. If we can do everything that I said about transforming the relationship from one of service provider to business partner, if we can also provide for the people working with us and for us an environment where their voice can be heard, where they can have an impact, and where they can have fun at work and enjoy the people and the teams and the company that they work with, just like our customers who don't want to leave us because we're a good partner, we'd like to think that we're a company you want to continue to work with, along with GlobalLogic, that you don't want to leave as an employee. So those are some really important aspects of who we are, I think, as a company and as a partnership. A few of our success characteristics: be positive and all in. We want people to enjoy and have fun, but while we face those challenges, we need you to be positive and really focused and all in to solving it. It's not just your problem or that person's problem, it's our problem. How do we overcome that? It's not just an opportunity for you, it's an opportunity for the team. How do you really be a proponent for that? Think like an owner. We all really need to do that. I like to say Bottomline is a very entrepreneurial company. It doesn't matter the size, and we're about 2,000 people. It doesn't matter the size of the company. We're very entrepreneurial in our spirit of the company. So think like an owner. Drive to closure. Don't just sit back and say, oh, this has been a problem, it's been a problem for a while, or don't sit back and say, oh, if we could only do this, we could seize that opportunity. Drive to closure. Be part of that solution. Produce results. And lead from where you stand. Everyone's a leader in the organization. It does not matter your level. It does not matter your title. If you've got an idea, if you've got a passion for something, how do you drive that? How do you leverage it to make an impact? And then finally, be a role model. Be a role model for new people who get added to the team. Be a role model for others. Be a role model of all of these other success characteristics. If we do that for each other as a team, as an organization, we'll see our opportunities and our successes rise. Bottomline's Agile journey. We are a very distributed company. If you look globally at all the different offices that we have, all the blue dots are Bottomline offices, and the gold dots up here are GlobalLogic offices in Ukraine as well as in Poland. Our products, I mentioned a little of them earlier, a few of them I should say earlier in the talk, are listed again down here at the bottom. We also have offices beyond the US and Europe in Israel, Singapore, and in Australia as well. When I look at our Agile journey, here are some things that I like to say about it. We have demonstrated success with 5+ years into our Agile transformation. The journey's not over. And I'm really a firm believer, if you've ever heard the saying, it's the journey, not the destination, that really makes it interesting for you. So 5+ years into our Agile transformation, what do we do to make that part of our organizational culture successful? Well, we have formal and proactive Agile coaching, and we also have a formal Agile maturity model that measures how Agile are our teams, are our products, and is our organization, or is the enterprise at whole. In addition, scaled growth. We started with just a few Scrum teams over 5 or 6 years ago, less than a handful, fewer than 6. We now have 60+ Scrum and Kanban teams, and some of them have matured into Scrumban teams as well. We have a formal training program where we've had 2,000+ people over the last 6 years go through that program. We have a 2-day Agile Foundation program, and we also have a 1-day workshop for Scrum Masters, product owners, and Agile managers. Even though an Agile manager is not a formal Scrum role, how important is the role of a manager in an Agile organization to be an Agile manager, and what does that mean? So that workshop really focused at helping them. And each one of those workshops is focused on helping the participants to be a better leader for himself or for herself, or for their team, and for their team, I should say, and for the organization. Learning organization. We are a learning organization. That continuous learning for what we do, both from a process side as well as from a technical side. So we have team members who participate and go to technical conferences, who go to higher degrees, who go to learn from one another. We integrate many new technologies, and we have to figure out how those make sense for our products and in our markets for our customers. We can only do that as a continuous learning organization. I mentioned the Agile Foundation and Next Level workshops. That's just one piece of it. The other important piece that I would say here with regard to the partnership with GlobalLogic is we have the exact same training programs for our Bottomline employees as we do for GlobalLogic employees. Our business partners are integrated with us. It's a core part of our philosophy in how we work. We have, I think, a really fun organization that we work with in GlobalLogic. Here's just a couple of pictures of the offices here in Kharkiv, the external shot here, and a couple of the internal shots as well. We also have an office that we opened up in Krakow, Poland, a couple of years ago. And that office, I think this was the grand opening shot that we had there, has seen pretty good growth. All combined with the 3 offices that we have, 2 in Ukraine and 1 in Poland, we now have over 100 partner team members with GlobalLogic. And they cross the boundary from developers to QA engineers to product owners, product managers, to other aspects that we need, DevOps people, any role that we need that we can fill. When we look to fill it, we look globally, holistically, and try to figure out where does it make the most sense to fill. Sometimes it's about speed, sometimes it's about a very targeted, specific skill set, sometimes it's both. And the answer could be in the US, in Europe, and the answer could be with Bottomline or with GlobalLogic. We look at those opportunities and we simply try to find the best option to fill the best requirement or the immediate requirement as best we can. We had a 5-year milestone that we celebrated last year, I think it was, in Poland. And we have, of the 100+ team members, we had a half dozen in Poland and I think another half dozen or so in Ukraine who'd been with the program for 5 years or more. That's a pretty significant milestone, I think, from a global development partnership perspective, to get people who want to stay with the company when you've got so many customer opportunities, even within GlobalLogic. And then outside GlobalLogic as well. That was back in September of last year. I mentioned the foundation training. I wanted to share just a couple of pictures about it because I think it kind of shows a little bit. This is actually our London team. And I don't know if there's anyone from GlobalLogic in there, to be honest, but it doesn't matter because I don't really see the label, once people start on our program. But what I liked about this picture was this is training, folks. This is people going to training. When's the last time you went to training and you had people lifting their hands in celebration or really smiling and being happy about the competition that they just went through and won? And they learn along the way. It's a key part of how we think effective training is done and delivered. So all of our partners, all of our employees, all of our team members go through a 2-day Agile Foundation program. Even if you've had experience with Agile before, maybe not the way that we do it. And I'll go out on a limb and say probably not the way that we do it. And it's important that coming into our company, you really have a sense of not only who we are as a company, but how we operate. So these are some great pictures from that. And again, we do this on all locations. We look at just how many new hires are in each area and who needs to go through the training. It's the exact same for GlobalLogic as it is for Bottomline. Finally, one last slide, I think, on the training. I mentioned the Next Level series. Here's just one shot of our Next Level training workshop for Scrum Masters. This was delivered in Kharkiv. I think a fairly recent shot also last year, I believe. And really what you see on the left-hand side is what we're calling our competency model. What's important for individuals on the teams? These are developers, these are QA engineers who want to be Scrum Masters. And what does it mean to be a Scrum Master? And how do we balance that role with their role of developer QA or whatever other Scrum team member role. And so we take a look at leading and facilitating as the core, educating and onboarding for new team members, mentoring and coaching, and then delivering and improving. And within each one of those, we help the people coming through the workshop to really understand what their current team challenges are, what their interests are, and how we can help them grow with that. And then we create a community of practice among the Scrum team members who participate so that they can support one another after the workshop. Again, a small team here that we had in Kharkiv last year when we delivered the training. We actually had a Lego challenge as part of the training. So what you're seeing poised in front of them or posed in front of them is the Lego that each of the teams built based on a user story that we had someone in the class or in the workshop write up. Our roadmap. So we have, like I mentioned, a 5 to 6 plus year journey that we've been on. From 2012 all the way up to where we are today in 2018 and 19 and beyond, we've developed a roadmap that's focused on what do we need to do to strengthen who we are as an organization. And we take a look at our early Agile years, our growing Agile years, our maturing Agile years, where we just exited in 2017 and introduced our Agile maturity measurement process, to our performing Agile years. What are we doing to strengthen who we are as a company for our teams and for our customers? Won't go through that in detail, but I think we'll have the slides available if anyone wants to read it in detail afterward. A key aspect I want to share, and last couple of slides before we get to Q&A. Sorry, I didn't prepare a whole long listen to me talk for 30 minutes. I hope that won't disappoint anyone. Our Agile maturity measurement. I asked how many of you had been using Agile, and about half of you raised your hands, and I asked how many thought it was going well. A little less than half, and then a few hands went down, even reducing that number, and when I asked if it was good Agile. How do you really know if something is good, or if Agile is good? Well, the way you know is not that you're just following all the principles and the practices. The way that you know is if the company that you're using Agile in is delivering on its commitments with consistency. And if it's got a sustainable process where you're not working nights and weekends and holidays to get the product out the door. If you've got a process that delights your customers and you're happy to be part of, that's good Agile. And it is possible to deliver that. But how do you know? How do you decide what's good? And when things aren't good, how do you identify where and how do you improve them? So 2 years ago or so, one of my Agile coaches and I at the time developed what we called an Agile maturity model. And it was based on our initial Agile adoption approach at Bottomline, which asked a simple question: is it possible for a Scrum team to do everything perfectly right, to do all of the Agile principles, take them in, own them, understand them, follow them, and all of the Agile best practices, the events, the roles, all of the prescribed components and artifacts, to do them all perfectly right and still fail? What do you guys think? Is that possible? Can I ask why? Say again? Something's wrong? Absolutely. But why might a Scrum team do everything perfectly and it could still fail? Anyone? Say again? Yes, contradictions between groups are in the organization. Exactly. The position that I took was a Scrum team does not exist on an island by itself. It's part of a larger organization. We called that larger organization the ecosystem. And if this quadrant of the ecosystem represents the team with Agile principles and Scrum practices, well, down below are the organizational dynamics. And I won't go through them all, but it asks key questions like, is there management support for leveraging Agile to develop its products and its solutions? Is there Agile guidance? Are there embedded subject matter experts? Are client commitments met with regularity on what the client actually wants, even if sometimes that might not be what they asked for? By the time they get delivered it, are they delighted? Because that's the measure of success. And along with that, are the product management and technical management practices supportive of being Agile? You have to have automation as part of your technical solution. I think everyone would agree with that. Continuous integration, continuous deployment, tool sets, where you can really manage a single product backlog, right? And work in ways that are very agile aligned. Are your product management and your technical management processes doing that? So we take all of that into account, and for the Agile maturity measurements, we wrote an article, had it published on Scrum Alliance a year ago at least, maybe 2 now, I'm losing track of time, where we looked at all of those quadrants, and we used a simple 3-step process called Shuhari, borrowing it from martial arts, where Shu state is beginner state. That's when we coach new teams and say, do exactly as we tell you, because if you don't, you could hurt yourself or your teammate. And if anyone's ever worked in bad Agile and bad Scrum, you know that can be true. So do exactly what we tell you and don't deviate. As you learn more, as you experiment, you can progress to Ha state, where you're proficient and you begin to detach from the rules. And your team may have learned to do these things really well, so they don't have to be as prescriptive in following the directions. And then once they progress beyond that, they can go to Re state, which is expert state, where you're performing level. You now set the rules. You become the rule maker as a team and as an organization because you become so highly proficient. We measure Agile maturity among all those 4 quadrants using this simple 3-step model at both the team level and the product organization level. And then we can take that data and roll it up to the enterprise level, and as a company, say, how well are we doing? So as part of that, oh, there it is. I published it in 2017, so I guess it was last year. As part of that, we look at this 4-quadrant spider diagram within each of those areas. And if it's fully filled in on the diagram, that means everything's at restate, stage 3. Nothing is below a 1, but you can see the differences of where they're strong, up here maybe with the Scrum events, and where they're not so strong, down here maybe, with how they manage teams. And each of the quadrants, you can see all that. We take all of that data and we roll it up, and we're able to produce results at the team level within every product organization. This is our scale, 1, 2, 3. We can see exactly where the Scrum teams and the Kanban teams fall. And they all determine that. Here's the powerful thing. If you've ever been on an Agile or a Scrum team, is your performance measured every sprint, every release by the organization? The answer is yes, even if you don't know it. They're measuring your performance. Are you delivering at the sprint level? Are you delivering at the release level? But what never happens is the team never gets to assess the organization's performance. How agile have we been? How much support have we gotten from the organization? So the Scrum team and Kanban teams, they assess themselves, but those assessments extend from the team level up to the organization level. And you can see here, for all of our product development efforts, where does the product fall as an aggregate result from the teams within that product? And then once we have all the product organization levels, the dotted line right along here, it measures the organization level, our enterprise Agile maturity. Now, some of you might be saying, well, wait a minute, you just told me you've been on this journey for 5 or 6 years and you're just barely at level 2? Yes, is my honest answer. And if you have companies up here that tell you they've excelled faster than that, I would question it. The journey is a hard journey. And if you're really holding yourselves accountable to be responsible and to excel at all those different areas in the quadrants that I mentioned, especially in a dynamic environment with multiple competitors, it's not an easy one. But it's one we believe is well worth pursuing, and we are doing that. So I'm going to close by asking this question. What kind of company do you want to be a part of? And my suggestion, choose a company that will provide you the opportunity to be a part of a great team, to make a difference, and to really be agile. Thanks very much for your time.